What's going on, Dub Nation? Welcome into Warriors Today by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Ali Barefoot, and I've got two hot topics to discuss with you guys on today's show. Number one being Draymond Green's concern about his injury. He's been dealing with a little bit of back problems as the season has gone on, but now with 15 regular season games left, I'm worried that this injury could actually play into the playoffs if the Warriors do find themselves there. So I'm going to break down an option that could actually work right now for the Warriors. On the back half of this show, Steve Kerr seems like he's just pretty upset with Andrew Wiggins not being motivated enough and not being aggressive enough. So I'm going to break down what Andrew Wiggins needs to do and what Steve Kerr had to say about the power forward. But before we get into all that, I do have one quick question to ask you guys here. Just go on ahead and share this video for me. If you share this video, just go on ahead and tag me on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, at AR Barefoot, and you're going to get a shout out from myself. Maybe even producer Chip will give you a shout out on his channel as well. So just go ahead and share this video with a member of Dub Nation, and let's go on ahead and get into it. Green's been struggling with this back injury for quite some time. He really tweaked it a couple games ago while he was playing against the Mavericks, and this is when he wasn't playing along with Steph Curry, who was out with an injury. And Draymond Green, while the biggest player on the team, of course, is Steph Curry if he is out with an injury, I find Draymond Green to be second on that list, especially since he's technically one of the bigger players that plays night in and night out for the Warriors, even though he stands at about 6'6". But Steve Kerr did give an injury update on Draymond Green and what he's been dealing with, and he said, look, his back was bothering him a little bit, and so he was getting some treatment at halftime. This was during the Mavericks game, and he said, I think he's feeling a lot better today. I saw him in practice, so we'll mark him as questionable. He played a lot of minutes lately, and the back kept him out of the game in Dallas last week, so we're just trying to stay ahead of it and not allow this to become a problem, but I'll just lean on Rick and the training staff, and they're going to figure it out. Well, I'm a little bit worried that they're not going to be able to figure it out before the playoffs do happen, because Draymond Green is pushing in his middle 30s right now. Should he really even be playing at the center position? He's one of the smallest centers in the Western Conference right now, and I'm wondering, is he maybe taking too much on his plate that's causing this back injury? Because if you look at the bigs in the West, and these are all teams that are currently above the Warriors in the Western Conference standings, you find yourself with AD at 6'10", KD at 6'11", Daniel Gafford of the Mavericks 6'10", you got Sabonis at 6'10", and then you have Jonas with the New Orleans Pelicans at 6th place right now in the Western Conference at 6'11". Draymond Green is only 6'6". He is not a true center at all. Jason Tatum on the Celtics is a power forward, and he's still 6'9". So I'm wondering, if Draymond Green is dealing with this back injury right now, should it be beneficial for the Warriors to start playing Trayce Jacksn-Davis at that 5 to add a little bit more size down low, but also to get him some reps with these next 15 games before the playoff times? Because let's just say, if Draymond Green keeps playing, because the Warriors cannot afford to sit Draymond Green right now because they are 3 games ahead of the 11th place Rockets, so they could possibly be fighting for a play-in spot right now. But when you bring in Trayce Jackson-Davis, he's 6'9", so it's about the same size as other bigs in the West. 240 pounds, he's not small by any means, and as of right now, he's been averaging about 7 points per game, 4 boards, and 9 assists, and I think that Trayce Jackson-Davis could actually come in and make a big difference, especially going up against players tonight, like Jaren Jackson Jr., going up against Anthony Davis with the Lakers. And Steve Kerr doesn't think that the center issue is really a problem yet. He said, when we do put him at the 4, with Trayce at the 5, it's really more to lighten the emotional burden of having to carry the defense. It's kind of nice for Draymond to have a shot blocker behind him. Why not put Draymond Green at the 4? I know he's been serving as the Warriors center for pretty much the entire season when he was not suspended, as Kevon Looney and Dario just really have not been weapons for the Warriors this season at all. But now Trayce Jackson-Davis is a weapon. He's been putting players on posters. Not that that's, make or break, but it's definitely a little bit more flashy. And with 15 regular season games left, the Warriors cannot afford to lose any games until the playoffs. And when they get there, if Draymond Green is injured, they could be in for a very short playoff series. So I have a question for you guys. I want you to go on ahead and pick the starting center that you want to start playing for the Warriors. If you want to stick with Draymond Green because of what he's done in the past, go for it. He's been a force to be reckoned with in the paint. Go on ahead and type DG down below. However, Trayce Jackson-Davis is a lot younger and a lot bigger than Draymond Green? Do you think he should be getting more minutes right now? Just go on ahead and type TJD in the comments down below while I tell you guys about our sponsor here on Warriors Today by Chat Sports. That's going to be Prize Picks. They've got specials for new and returning users alike for March Madness right now when you head on over to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Football season may be over, but there are several other sporting events that are going on right now, whether it's March Madness, a fight for the NBA playoff seeding, or hell, even MLB spring training is going on right now. There is no shortage of high-stakes basketball moments at this time of year, so you can get on the excitement with Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app, where you can turn your hoops knowledge into serious cash. So I want to test my hoops knowledge here, and I've got some Steph Curry, Jaylen Brown, and Caitlin Clark picks, but I love about Prize Picks is that they have specials all the time. They are not biased. You can mix and match your sports with your Prize Picks. So I've got Ohtani and Steph Curry to have more than 6.5 total bases and three-pointers made. I'm always taking more with Steph Curry, and why not one of the best MLB players right now in spring training? And then, of course, Jaylen Brown has been absolutely crushing it since the All-Star break, averaging 29 points per game. I'll go with the more with him. And then Caitlin Clark, this one's got to be a freebie, man. More than half a point. Absolutely, I am taking Caitlin Clark in the NCAA women's tournament, and you guys can go on ahead right now. Prize Picks is super simple. You pick more than or less than on about 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Get started now if you haven't already at prizepicks.com/CLNS and get a first-time deposit match of $100. Prizepicks.com/CLNS. Pick more, pick less. It is that easy. Andrew Wiggins apparently hasn't been performing the way that Steve Kerr has wanted him to since he's returned from his personal hiatus. Steve Kerr told the media that he wants more aggression from Andrew Wiggins, which I think is a really weird ask for a power forward for the Golden State Warriors at this point in the season. You should not be asking your players to do what they're supposed to do. Be more aggressive and want to win ball games. But I understand where he's coming from because Andrew Wiggins just has been a shell of his 2022 self. He has hit numerous career lows this year. He's got 12.6 points per game, 26.8 minutes per game, 10.6 field goals attempted. He's not even taking the same shots that he was last year, and that kind of goes hand in hand with the fact that he has a career low 36 touches a game and a 118 defensive rating. Last year, he had a 109 defensive rating at this point in the season last year. He's just not who he used to be. So Steve Kerr had one simple ask of Andrew Wiggins, and he told 95.7 the game. He said, look, we want Andrew to be more aggressive. I think the more aggressive he is looking for a shot, the better. I think sometimes Andrew gets lost in the shuffle, so I think I've got to do a better job of keeping him engaged and really getting him in positions to attack and be successful. We've already seen this season that he's not taking nearly as many field goal attempts as he normally is. Does Andrew Wiggins want that role anymore? And here's my main thing. I constantly feel like Steve Kerr is having to motivate Andrew Wiggins. We want him to be more aggressive. We want him to be in shape. We want Andrew Wiggins to do this, to do that. Should you be telling a player in his first year of 4 and a big-time contract to do things for you at this point in the season? You don't have to ask Steph Curry to go out there and make more threes. You don't have to ask Brandon Pajemski to crash to the board and be more aggressive, nor Trayce Jacksn-Davis. The fact that you're still asking Andrew Wiggins to do the very basic, simple tasks of an NBA player, like be more aggressive, be more motivated, it scares the hell out of me, especially since he's now been back in the starting lineup since he's returned from his personal hiatus. I think if you want Andrew Wiggins to be more aggressive and if you want more from Andrew Wiggins, put him on the second unit with Klay Thompson and Chris Paul. You wanted Klay Thompson to be who he used to be, and he couldn't do that. So you gave him a new role and you put him on the bench, and he has been flourishing. He's been thriving. Some of the best basketball we've seen from Klay Thompson has come from the second unit. So maybe lower Andrew Wiggins' minutes per game and put him alongside Klay Thompson and Chris Paul just to really get him back in the flow of things. Because if I had it my way, I really like Trayce Jacksn-Davis at the center position. If you put Draymond Green back at the forward, the power forward, and replace for Andrew Wiggins, you're still going to get the aggression that you want from Wiggins. You're going to find that immediately with Draymond Green, but he doesn't have that defensive burden on his back literally and physically. I do think that Trayce Jacksn-Davis should start at the center. Draymond Green should start over Andrew Wiggins, and you still should rock with the backcourt of Steph Curry and Brandon Podziemski, excuse me. Look, every player should be on the exact same page this season, especially at this point in the season with 15 games left. If Andrew Wiggins is not doing what you need him to do, then why are you going to keep him on the Warriors team altogether? Wiggins has 15 games left to prove why he should stay in the Bay Area, as there have been numerous rumors around the NBA trade deadline, around the NBA offseason, of whether or not Andrew Wiggins should return, as he is in his first year of a 4-year contract. So if Wiggins does not bring out the most aggressive and motivated version of himself in the next 15 games, I could see Wiggins, unfortunately, playing for a different ball club next season. But that's my question I have for you guys. Do you think the Warriors should trade Wiggins in the offseason? I personally do, just because I think mentally he needs a fresh start, and I think that maybe physically he could do with one as well. I think there are several teams out there that would bide for a trade for him right now. So I think that in these next 15 games, I'm going to be looking primarily at Andrew Wiggins' box score to see what he is doing for the Golden State Warriors. Go ahead and comment that down below. And like I said at the beginning of this show, go ahead and share this video on social media. Tag me on Twitter or X, ARBarefoot. I'll give you guys a shout out. But to send this video to one person in Dub Nation that you know would like this update.